Hello, Paul. Nice to see you. Haven't seen Paul before today for about 3 or 4 weeks. Anyway, we've both come back to Britain, been away for a bit. One of the things that I was absolutely certain would change would be Brexit, and we're because I went away over March the 29th. I thought, well, it's going to be different. We don't know what it's going to be. It's definitely going to be different. Can't be the same. And I was wrong about that.
It's the same.
It's exactly the same. Yeah. It's exactly
the can has been kicked down the road along with all the
except,
other.
Yeah, except people. I mean, I've only been away 5 weeks, but people seem more actively disillusioned by the whole thing.
I would say they're pretty.
I mean, certainly when I launching into a debate with them, they're like, "Oh, for fuck,
just shut the fuck up, will you?
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, it's a bit about not.
Speaking of rubbish, I saw some pictures today of those Extinction Rebellion people who'd left behind some rubbish on Hyde Park. Was it?
Yeah,
they'd left loads of rubbish behind. What's wrong with them?
Well, we don't know if it's not a fake picture, and that's. I think we need to have a lot of caution about that kind of picture on Facebook, because one photograph like that, which is so easy to fake, can be, really misinforming.
What do you think about them then, Guy? Are you behind them?
Well, I took my usual view, which listeners of the pod, Paul, I know knows, which is we are fucked. The train is going into the abyss. The bridge is down. Da-di-da-di-da. There's no point really trying to stop the destruction. I love Paul's phrase. We're all going. Everything's going into the sun anyway.
That's great.
Which it makes a lot of sense to me. At some point, we're going to end up like Mars, and therefore, much better to enjoy it and to be open about it and say, just as a human life has a natural end, so it turns out does a human species.
So pedal to the metal then, Guy?
In a way, or rather...
Well, why not just try and sort it out and make it a bit better? So
exactly. Okay, so I have understood the folly, or not the folly, I'm always, as you know, Paul, I have a very flexible mind that always likes to look at issues from the other.
You're a pragmatist,
from the other side. No, and I like to, there's no point just taking one.
Could you get on a more clunky,
one
chair if you
just
tried?
To take one position and bang it away? It's boring in conversation.
Go on.
So stop banging on about my chair. Yeah, but so stop it.
Listen to it.
Stop it. It's fine, Paul. Please don't. I'm trying. I mean, I'm on. I've got a train of thought here. So
creak.
So, we're going to do something about it. Now, it's really easy. It's really easy to get ad hominem arguments, about my carbon footprint or Emma Thompson's carbon footprint, because she came. Well, you were abroad, but she came to the demonstration in Hyde Park.
Yeah, I know.
And it turned out
on
that
a
she
jumbo
flew
jet from America.
Los Angeles. Yeah. And and it seemed like a bit of a cheap shot to point that out. And anyway, I go in jet planes often, and I have a big car, and I basically behave environmentally in a disgraceful manner.
Yeah.
Now,
you're the carbon Sasquatch, aren't you?
Well, I don't know if I'm quite that bad, but I'm not that good. But here's where I wanted to get to with it, Paul. Over this weekend, I was talking about it with some people, and what I realised that the word that no one is really saying.
I know what that word is.
Tell me.
Can I guess what the word is that no one's really saying?
Try.
Spunk monkey. Has anyone said that?
Why
Has anyone said that?
Fucking bother?
No, Guy, can I just ask you? Just shut up. Has anyone said that?
No, they haven't.
Well, in that case, I'm right. That is the word that no one is saying. Anyway, go on. It's all right. I don't mind.
Yeah, but it's an utterly irrelevant and obscene word. But the word that is irrelevant,
obscene.
no, the word that is relevant, and the word that
could be a very brave monkey
is really important. Is rationing.
Rationing?
Because that is what we're talking
creaking.
About. That's what we're talking.
Stop creaking.
Seriously, Paul. We have, as they say, we have a finite resource.
Is that your hip replacement?
We have a finite resource. We have a growing population on Earth, so we're going to have to divide one into the other. And it's not about new technology improving this, or it's not about a different distribution. It is about different distribution. It's about saying, for the number of people who are on Earth at the moment, it could an arrangement could be put in place where it will be sustainable.
Right.
Okay. It could be put in place, and it would involve many things.
Do you know what this is called?
And what I would really like to do is to read the novel where the person has done the science and has worked it out, because I want to know, Paul, if it's Depending, of course, on how it's allocated, but if it's allocated roughly in the same
It's
proportion.
called carbon trading, Guy.
No, carbon trading. Everyone's accepted is not working.
But that's what it is. That's what you're talking about. So we all get a limited.
No, it's
let's
not,
say
not,
you get
not,
three
it's not,
flights a
it's
year,
not just in carbon,
or
it
even
would
one
be
flight
across,
a
it
year.
would be across
Then there'd be a market because people would be selling their allowances to other people.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I do take
It's
your point,
carbon
Paul.
trading.
I do take your point, but we're not just talking about jet flight. We're talking about tomatoes. We're talking about
What, how many
car
tomatoes you
travel.
eat?
We're talking about use of petrol, use of electricity, all of these things. And I wish some brilliant writer
There'd be a market in it all.
could. There might be a market on it. It's true.
There would definitely be. It would be like fucking rationing in the war.
Well, there
There'd be
was
a
not
massive
a
black
market.
market. Oh,
No,
hello.
no, I'm
There's
sorry.
a huge black market for ration books, Guy. That's what. If you had money, you didn't have to worry about rationing.
Well, it's
you just bought loads of more rations on the black market.
Yeah,
That's what
it's,
people did.
that is.
Guy, don't be naive.
Let me just tell you that is a bit. I know a bit about this actually. I know. In fact, I don't
Well,
know.
hello. So do I. I know a bit about it. That's why I'm talking about it.
So how do you know about it?
Because I've read about it in books, Guy. How do you know about it? Were you there?
Because my grandfather.
You're
was a
nearly
black
old enough.
My grandfather was a black marketeer.
Was he?
Yeah,
Well,
very
there,
successful one.
well
yeah.
there you go. Then you know that this is true.
Well, but it wasn't. Anyway, even if you say that every single ration is tradable, and you say it's not against the law to do it, all right? You say we're going to have a system in place where it's not going to be unlawful to do it, okay? Unlike the Second World War. It's not going to be unlawful.
no
You
point in
can
doing it.
trade everything. But the thing is that you won't be able to trade everything because really, we're going to have to ration almost every single thing, aren't we? I guess you have to ration water.
Sounds dangerously close to socialism. this
Well,
guy.
I mean, what I'm saying is,
Doesn't sound
what
capital.
I want to know, Paul.
Look, what you're saying sounds a bit like socialism. It doesn't sound like capitalism to me.
We're kind of beyond that conversation, actually. It's more like
Are we?
what would say? Well, in that case, for argument's sake, let's say it's going to be divided out fairly equitably in Britain. Not entirely, but fairly equitably. I.e., we're
does
not
that
going to
mean?
have. It means it's going to have the financial structure would look more French than American. So there would be fewer rich people with huge amounts of resources
How are you going to do that?
than there are French. Well, you do that through the law, obviously.
Take their money off them.
You do it through the law. It
You
can be
take
done.
their money off them.
Look, it can be done.
Guy, I'm asking you how.
Well, what you say is that you're not allowed.
You're
to
Prime
possess,
Minister this week.
No, what you're not allowed. You're not allowed to possess more than one car. You know, or you're allowed to have two cars, whatever. You know, various rules will be put in. You're only allowed one house of a certain size. You'd make it. I don't know what
This is
size you'd make it.
socialism. This is communism.
Well, yeah,
actually.
but the thing is, Paul, I want to go beyond the system. The system's not that important. What I want to know is this. I'm still trying to get to my question. If you were in the middle of that system, whether it was capitalism or socialism, and I understand that that's a different conversation, I want to know what that life would look like. I.e., is it sustainable for a human being to go on a jet once in his life? Once a year? Is it sustainable for a human to have their own car and not to have passengers in it? How unsustainable is the current lifestyle I am living if it was shared out equally and that we were not overusing the resources? And what would our lives look like? But okay, well let's talk about plastic. Say we go very fast movement towards no single-use plastics, which I would totally advocate. I can't see.
Define single-use plastic.
That is a plastic. Sorry. I would say something like this. I'm tapping my laptop. I would say that's not a single-use plastic because I use it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times.
What about a gentleman's pleasure doll? Would that be
I would say that's not, but right on the line.
right on the line?
Right on the line, yeah. But I mean, a plastic cup, plastic bottle, plastic bag,
What
those things
about-
out, gone. No plastic bottles. There should not be any plastic bottles.
What
And why can't we have glass
So
bottles?
plastic should be really limited to things that we really need them for.
Yeah, and that are really durable, and that are pretty durable. I mean, a gentleman's plastic doll, I think, should last. How long would you say?
I've never owned one, but the time may be coming, Guy.
No, we need to. Let's come up. Let's come
Perhaps
up
you'd
with
like
a
to
committee
write in
set.
and tell us if anyone's had any experiences.
But is it a single-use
How
plastic,
durable
or is
they
it
are,
a durable?
and is that sustainable? And is there some? Perhaps they could be made of leather.
I did once see it in some old kind of vintage porn. A leather dildo. A leather dildo.
Leather dildo.
Yeah, and I did that. The mind reeled. Anyway, let's move on from there.
But we once bought one in West Germany when the wall was still up, and we took it up on the wall and we were waving it at the guards on the other side of the wall.
A leather dildo?
No, an inflatable,
Inflatable doll.
lady doll. We bought it. Actually bought it in the East German markets. It was a standard issue Russian one, which they gave to the troops to stop them in an attempt to stop them from
From what?
from running amok in the local populace.
Oh, right. They were considered a fair substitute.
Yeah,
they,
it was like,
to a
get
human
on,
being.
just have this, and you won't need to go and disturb the ladies of the village or whatever it was. So they came a standard issue, and it was a gruesome looking thing, I can tell you. Yeah, it had a very surprised expression on its face, for a start, and it kind of looked like it was lying in the dentist chair.
I know what you mean.
It's
by
where its
that
arms and
surprise.
legs were,
Right.
and its mouth was sort of like, anyway. And so we got this thing and we inflated it and we were waving it at the guards, and they actually pointed their rifles at us. So we came scuttling, because there used to be those little things you could go up on and look over the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we got really drunk in the day and we tried to get some helium. And the plan was we were going to inflate it with helium and float it over the wall into East Germany. Her name was Helga by then. We were going to send Helga home, was our mission. But in the end, we couldn't find any helium. So we were planning to leave it in the hotel room, but then I folded it up really small and put it in my friend's suitcase. And then when we were on the plane, really, really hungover, I told him that it was in his suitcase and that he would have to smuggle it through customs. And he did. He was brilliant. He kept a completely stony face.
Why is it illegal to take it?
I just thought it would be hilarious if they looked up. So I was looking at him like he was really guilty, because I just thought they'd drag it out, and this really horrible inflatable doll. But he got away with it. He was very, very good as a smuggler. I think we never really capitalised on his poker face.
Right.
There are female
Would it
pleasure
be
dolls
grim?
now. Do you know that?
No, yeah, I'm not interested in pleasure dolls. It's a stupid. It's not
There's a
stupid.
female version, Guy.
What does it do? Does the washing
What do you
up?
think it
Puts
does?
the washing in.
Does the school run?
That's foreplay.
I thought you said this wasn't an interesting subject.
Does the, yeah.
Brings you a cup of tea in bed.
Is nice to you.
God,
Listens.
Yeah, it's listening. It's actually got really realistic ears.
Huge ears.
We should
A
make one.
tiny mouth that
We
can't
should
make
make
any
one.
noise.
God, you know
Perfect
what?
man.
There's a million right there, Guy. Tell you.
Write letters to Paul about that. That's nothing to do with me.
No, Guy, come on. Don't
Anyway,
be such a prig.
So I haven't really got. I can't
Let's
really
go back
get
to this
anyone.
really serious subject.
I can't get anyone really interested in trying to debate with me or imagine with me. So I think a really good writer could do this. The life that would work, where they would go at the end of the year. They'd go, "It's great. We're in credit, not by much, but by a little bit. We're holding the temperature. The gases in the environment are right. Everything. The seas are not getting more dirty.
Or warmer.
And there are no species were made extinct this year, as far as we know. Blah 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 blah. It's okay. We're now on a level. Now, what would that life look like?
Star Trek.
Was it go to another planet?
It would look like we'd be wearing robes, wouldn't we? And everything?
No.
Living in a giant library. No, I'm serious. That's what we'd look like, because we're not there, are we?
We're a long way from there.
Yeah. We're bum scuttling beasts, basically, who can't be trusted with a fucking firearm.
No.
We're
we
badass.
Can't. We can't. We're exactly.
Which is why, Guy, I think that they are there, and they won't. They're not. They will not come here, and they will not talk to us, because we're. It's like, what the fuck would you do that for?
Like a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
Don't fucking kick it.
Just go and hear it. It's horrible. And we might go there for a laugh occasionally, have a look. But what the fuck? Why would they get in touch with us? And now we've got the atom bomb.
That's like Keith Coventry. You think he's from another planet?
Keith Coventry. Is that a real,
When you
is
go-
that a real name? Just made that up. Keith Coventry. No, don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean? What about him?
well, he looks like he's from another place, just come to have a laugh.
Why are you picking on poor Keith Coventry?
I think
Are you
it's a
saying he looks like an
compliment. I
alien?
think it's a compliment. He seems like somehow otherly.
Otherly? He's from the north, Guy.
Oh, right, that's what it is.
He's not that otherworldly. Anyway, there's a lot of otherworldly people around here.
Yeah.
I mean, the unicorn ambassador's down the road, isn't
Yeah,
she?
there's a guy who came walked in the pub and he said, "I'm come from next Wednesday." And everyone started asking him questions.
Yeah, like what? Well,
He said, "I've just come back from next Wednesday."
did you find out what's going to win in the fucking 4:15 at
he-
Wincanton?
No one did that. Everyone had funnier questions than that. So,
Oh, yeah. What's he doing in next Wednesday if he's not going to?
Remember, he had some, and
You said to me that would be cheating, I think, didn't you?
yeah,
Didn't you say that that would be cheating?
yeah.
So, Guy, if I went to
He
the
wasn't doing it for money.
I'm not saying I was doing it for money, but if you're there,
He's not a
you might
no.
as well have a look at the paper.
He's not a gambler.
That's not gambling. Well, it's not, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. In Back to the Future, there is a character who does that. You don't know it, Back to the Future.
I know it's got a
kids,
DeLorean in it.
when you got kids,
It's got a DeLorean in it, and it
That's
goes
it.
forward in time, but then ends up backwards in the past.
yeah, he can go backwards and forwards, and he
that's
gets
rubbish
and he
for a
gets
start
it. No,
off,
he
you
can't go into the future. He can only go into the past. But
Eh?
yeah, he can't. Yeah,
Guy, have you actually seen this movie?
yeah, of course I have.
Or are you just relying on the title?
No, they never go forwards. They always go backwards, but they get stuck back, and they have to start fiddling around with things. And there is a character in there who does work out
how do they end up
to
back-
hitch a lift with them.
How do they end up in the future? How do they know what
And he
they've done?
is a guy who's got the horse results, and he makes a huge fortune. And he is, without any question at all, and everyone who listens to who knows the movies, and there are many of you will attest to this, is based on Donald Trump. He looks exactly like Donald Trump. He's a horrible creep. He's like the businessman in the town. He's got that sort of hay-like, straw-like hair, and his blustering manner. And he makes his money by cheating.
Right,
on
well,
the
do you want to know
horses.
how this gets really weird now? There is a book that was written in about 1920 something. Anyway, what the year was, I think it is 1930 something.
35.
And it's a book. So let's just get it up on there.
It's called Sinclair Lewis's It Can't Happen Here. Is that the same one you're thinking about?
It is indeed.
Right, okay. And it says here, features an anti-hero who whips up support among angry voters on the back of firebrand rhetoric, fear-mongering populism and anti-Mexican sentiment.
Yeah, but it's worse than that. Isn't his name Trump?
No, Buzz Winthrop wins the 1936. So we're on.
No, there's one where he's actually called Trump, so this is not it. It's something about... well, I seem to remember it being one where he's called Trump.
Fake news.
No.
Baron Trump novels.
Baron Trump, that's it.
2 children's novels written in 1889.
Yes, about little Baron Trump. And it's about a German boy, Sebastian von Trump, who is called Baron Trump. He discovers weird underground civilizations, offends the native, flees his entanglements with local women, and repeats the pattern arriving back. But
That's interesting, because there's also a Simpsons in which Trump becomes president.
But you see, I just think that this is quite odd, isn't it? I mean, what does it mean? Have you heard of something called the Mandela effect?
Yeah,
Have you heard of that?
yeah.
It's shit, isn't it?
It's kind of slightly psychedelic-y, kind of.
Widdly wee wee.
Yeah.
It says that all these realities are getting pressed together, and they're starting to cause. In the theory of the multiverses, there are millions of, even an infinite number of.
So this
universes.
this theory asked me to believe that there are like millions of Paul Fryers.
Yes. No.
It's a horrible. Horrible.
But there are millions of you two to deal with me, Guy. Don't worry.
And it's also ridiculous and ludicrous.
No, but what
There's
happens
only
is-
one of you, man.
Allow me to
And there's only
explain.
one
Allow
of
me
me.
to explain how it could happen. So let's say at this point, instead of doing this, I say, you know what, Guy, I've had enough of this, and I put down, which believe me is tempting, and I put down the microphone and walk out that door, and I get my shoes, and I get in a taxi, and I travel to London, and I go to the Groucho Club and do something. Or let's say I go to a pub I've never been in down the road, or let's say I go and get on a plane to Marrakesh, or whatever it is. That all of those possibilities exist, and that in different universes aligned to this one, in the multiverse, every single possibility has been played out. So, in other words, there are versions in the multiverse where there's just a burnt landscape where nothing exists. Everything's been destroyed because of a terrible catastrophe. And there are ones where I'm a billionaire, and there are ones where I'm a tramp living on the street. and they're all
This one.
they're all pressed together. So, and what few people have suggested is that the ones that are closest together are the ones that are next to the one that we're in. That the further away you go, the more far-fetched they become, because it takes more changes, more junctures in the branches of reality that come out from this one. It takes more junctures to reach the more outlandish ones.
So in what possible way can you relate to Donald Trump being associated with this thing?
Because it means that they would
And
get.
what was the reality that both of them can exist in?
Well, if there are versions of the other reality where Donald Trump was predicted and everything else, they could bleed across into this.
But also, but when he came up in Back to the Future, it made you think. But then he appears.
What did it make you think?
Makes you think that it's so much about character, and even before he was running for political office or before he was particularly famous, he had imprinted his character on Steven Spielberg and on the brilliant guy who makes the Simpsons. They've seen this little shit and thought, oh, if I get an opportunity, I'm going to have a swipe at him. That's how I justify it. Is that they thought that he just. Even then, he was like, good people wanted to say something rude about him. Now, this one here, I would say, it's conceivable that he read this, but I don't think he probably did. And
when he was a child?
Yeah, and thought, that's like, it's like if you call a child stupid. It's like, these things are much more likely to come through if they're in a child's head as to who you are. And it's conceivable that there may be a connection in that way, but otherwise, I just think it's a.
So you see, it's just that it's like our current reality feeding into itself, really.
Yeah, and
they're
about
little
character
feedback
too.
loops.
And I really believe that Steven Spielberg thought, right, okay, someone's got to take advantage of this. Who's the kind of shit who would take advantage of this? And they go, oh, there's that New York guy. Do you remember?
He'd do it,
he
yeah.
had that thing with our mate, and he fucked him over on that property deal, and he lied, and he was like a real.
He's an asshole. Have a go at him.
Come on, yeah.
You would never do that in print, though, would you, guys?
Never,
No.
No, it's
Good
my
to
job to
hear.
raise humanity up.
That's right. You would never pick a living person and then
Ridicule them. Lampoon. No, I do
Use them
love
as a
that.
vehicle.
I do love the word lampoon though.
What did you think of that donut that they took a picture of then?
I wasn't overly impressed. But I like the picture of the woman who had taken the photo. Did you see her?
Yeah, she was really chuffed.
She looked so nice. Yeah,
I think she went out and got hammered. Cheers. And
no,
then
she
some
didn't
bloke came
look
up to
like
the
that
pub and
kind-
went, oh, I saw you in the paper, love. Did you take that fucking fuzzy picture of that thing? It was shit.
Oh, that hole.
Fucking rubbish.
Oi, lads.
Several people were saying it was a bit underwhelming. Where are you going?
Just to rearrange my thoughts.
All right.
Should
Should we go get some tabs?
Yeah, hold. Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you remember the tree with the hairnet by your house in is it Corsham? There was a tree with a hairnet.
Yeah.
That was the first one I
Fucking
saw.
yeah.
So I know you know what they're for.
Yes, I
But
fucking
when
do.
I first saw it, did I mention it to you?
Yeah.
And I said, what is that got that net on it? And we didn't know, did we?
No, we didn't know that.
We didn't know. And I saw another one.
I thought it was quite cool.
And I was thinking it was possibly something to do with the seeds.
Contained
Yeah,
disease.
or contained. Yeah. Anyway, I found out what they're for. We all
Yeah,
know
we
now
all know what
they're
it's for now.
And I noticed
Fuckers.
that it's been removed. Did you see that? And I wondered when they, because it's
And
still
of course they've
nesting
got a
season
development
now.
up there.
Yes, they've got the development there, and it looks like probably what they're going to do is to remove that junction, and they're just going to hack it down.
Yeah.
And someone's going to say you can't hack it down if it's got a bird in it.
Yeah.
But they've taken it off. I
Yeah,
wanted
hello,
to speculate with
the
you
fucking
about.
nesting season's over now.
Well, kind of. It was open today, and I think you could have. But can you imagine them going? We've got to be careful of these trees, and because if we get birds in them, it's going to hold up
Dirty
the development.
bastards.
It's going to hold up the development, right? So, how can we get round that? Well, can't we just chuck the tree down with the nests in them? No, because they now have officers, and we might get caught, and it's a big fine. We could get the newspapers.
They could even
They
hold
go-
up the whole development.
Yeah, so hold on. I got a great solution. It's a win-win for everyone. So
Okay, you've got 2 minutes.
Yeah, so no nests get destroyed. It's absolutely guaranteed we will be destroying no nests.
Yeah.
I like it. What we do is we net the whole tree, and the bird finds another tree.
Yeah, because he comes up,
safe tree.
the bird comes up, tweet, and thinks, oh, I can't get in here. Well, that's all right. I'll just go and find another tree.
Just like the house buyer.
Yes.
Exactly. And finds a more appropriate one for
Yes,
their
yes.
budget or for their
Yeah,
range.
yeah. Just look at it like a house buyer.
Yeah. and they will go somewhere else. And that someone must have clicked in that meeting and gone, we've solved this massive problem. I bet you they were so pleased.
I bet they were
and
delighted with
and they said,
themselves.
let's source that kind of plastic muslin.
It's easy. And the thing is, how long does it take to do it? It just takes like 10 minutes to put a net up. It's so brilliant, this whole solution. Hoist.
I remember seeing it on a hedge outside Wells, again, right by one of these new developments. But I absolutely hate the new housing developers. I've just watched some houses going up on the edge of Glastonbury. I've been building this barn conversion for too long. I agree. I do go too slowly and I try and do things too well. They have slung these houses up, 12 houses. In the time, I promise you, I promise you, I'm not exaggerating.
Go on.
That I put down the underfloor heating and a medium-sized oak floor. They have put up 12
in something about the size of a large garage.
They have put up 12 houses.
Oh my God.
And when you see the flimsiness of those rafters, they're like 3/4 of an, maybe an inch, not even an inch. It's a 3-story house with the rafters holding the roof 3/4 of an inch. It's just...
How can that be legal?
Because they've done the calculation and they say as long as you've got enough of them, so they have loads and loads and loads of those A-frame rafters.
Right, yeah.
We won't use anything heavy or anything. So there's no weight up there.
So it's
There's
cheap.
nothing solid. It will in 20 years it will go soggy.
It will
that
warp.
house won't even fall down. It'll go soggy and kind of slip. It'll be like kind of like wet cardboard. And I watch them doing it. There aren't chimneys on them either. I understand they haven't got open fires because, of course, they've been banned.
Yeah, they're banning that now.
But, like no chimney on a house, not even a metal wood burner.
Units. Do you know what they are,
Let's
guy?
talk
Units. That's what they call them now. Units.
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to live in a unit.
No, and I
Careful with
really...
the microphone, please.
The people who put stones on their drives to stop people turning in them, do you ever see that? I saw a lady...
Oh, they stopped to stop gypsies or anybody parking.
No, I think in extremis, at our council in Glastonbury, had just put 50 grand's worth of boulders up to stop travellers parking. In our village here, there's 3 or 4 tarmac drives, just on an ordinary lane, and you can see they've arranged these big, ugly white stones, or even some planters, some half barrels, with panzers in them, across to make it really difficult to do a U-turn in their drive. And I just thought how territorial, how mean you are that you can't even let them quickly do a quick turn.
I'm sick of this, Mabel. Look at this. There's another one. What's that, George? Come over here. Look at this. There's another one. Turning round on my drive. Oi! Oi! Back off out of my drive! Can you imagine?
It's so like that.
It's pathetic.
It's so English, that. English and property and ownership and territory.
God.
We are so... That is the empire. That is how you conquer half the world. Or rather, that's the kind of the sort of the limp little dreg, right? It's the winnet of the empire. A man shouting out of his window, saying, don't turn in my drive.
Oi, what are you doing? This glorious nation. We went to this island. I've got to tell you about this. And this guy, we went to this island. We went on what was called a nature talk. Speaking of buildings and developments, and it was a crappy half developed hotel thing. And we arrived there, and they said, "Oh, we'll take you on a nature tour where you can have dinner here." The place was not ready to say this. It's in the middle of nowhere in Burma, to be fair, in Myanmar. But we thought it'd be nice because it was going to be an expensive place. And we got there, and there was just some weird guy with little leather gloves on and a weird, strappy hat. And
But were the builders and everyone working rapidly?
no, it was done, but there was no one there. There was tumbleweed blowing through the place, and everything just felt half finished. And we got to the back, and he was going, "This is where we're doing the water supply, and over here we got." These are all water tanks for the place, and over here, and this is all the crew quarters for all the people that work here. He was from Croatia or somewhere, and we were like, what's the nature tour? When are we going on the fucking nature tour? And then we went up this, and this road is new. We just built this road to make it possible for the workers to go up into phase 2, where we're going to go up into the hills. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, you know, these guys are going to ruin this place. They're going to cut it all down. Well, that's not the case. He said, look over there. You will see that all the trees have numbers on them. And these trees are numbered for a reason. We numbered these trees individually because we're not going to cut them down. Look at this tree here, for instance. This is tree 281. Okay, the I has been put down, the 1 is put down the wrong way, but we know what it says, 281. And that means that's the 281st tree on this development we are not cutting down. And over here you can see the size of the places, you know, the cabanas. This one's going to be 8 foot by 8 foot, which is pretty big for if you're on the home with a girlfriend. But over here we've got a 15 by 15, which is bigger. Hell, it's nearly twice the size. And this one is if you're thrown in there with the whole family.
So you stumbled on a horrible second-home timeshare salesman. Salesman in the middle of fucking nowhere.
When does the
a timeshare salesman?
nature's tour start? So he's tromping up this road and it's sweltering hot. And we had this coming out of the jungle. We're like, what's that?
That's quite nice.
He goes, oh, it's an animal in the jungle. And we were like, well, what sort of animal? Is it a monkey? Yeah, it's a monkey.
He's a timeshare salesman.
And we were like,
who's like trapped you,
right? What
bullshitted
sort of monkey is it? Well, you know, there's lots of different kinds of monkeys here in the woods. It could be any kind that are in a jungle, but they're not harmful. Don't worry. So we're walking along a bit further. I see some pellets on the floor, and I pointed at them. I said, "Nate, is that poo?" And he goes, "Yeah, actually, that's poo." He goes, "Hey, everybody, come on here. Come and have a look." So there's 11 of us. He goes, "This on the floor here, this is animal poo." I swear to God.
He's just a fucking bullshitter.
This is animal poo. And if you're curious, you can touch it.
He's just like a patronizing, shitty little
So he goes, actually, so the people here,
salesman.
these are...